Hi everyone, my name is Morgan Durham and I am on the traditional master's path. What I believe to be one of the biggest problems in special education right now is actually the divide, the fracture that I have seen in general education and special education. I think that divide impacts not just instruction of SPED or Gen Ed, but it also has a huge impact on student perceptions of themselves. And I do believe that I can say this from experience because I worked as a general ed teacher in English language arts, and I've also worked as a SPED teacher for a limited amount of time because originally I was going to do an emergency certification. So I have worked as a SPED teacher, even though I haven't gotten that degree yet. So what this fracture actually looks like is in many, many classrooms, there's still a visible disconnect between Gen Ed and special ed. So at times, accommodations can be viewed as busy work or additional work in the eyes of some Gen Ed teachers. I do, of course, need to put a disclaimer in here that this is not all Gen Ed teachers, but I have seen it quite a lot, that it feels like they are just having more work thrown at them, and there seems to be a misunderstanding that SPED teachers just sit in their rooms all day. For some reason, there's that disconnect of understanding. So accommodations are seen as extra work and something that they feel is being enforced rather than additional support. And let's not lie to ourselves. Students pick up on these things. Students know. So students pick up this perception of themselves that their teachers may like them less, or fear retaliation if they have to remind a teacher of their accommodations. They notice the tone, they notice the body language and the patterns and who receives help and who doesn't. So a real world example that I think we've all seen is group testing, small group testing. So the pull-out support in small group testing. So it's come to be, at least in my experience, that students are embarrassed to be pulled out. And since we aren't supposed to know who is inclusion students, the other students aren't supposed to know who, it's an inclusion program, but that is definitely a big flaw, that everybody knows on testing day who's going to stand up and leave the room, and they know why. Students pick up on these things. So because of that, a lot of students don't want to leave to get the additional support that they need and that they are legally supposed to have. So not only that, it can lead to judgment. It can lead to bullying. And sometimes, a lot of times, students will resist the additional support that they themselves know they need because of how it's perceived. So this is critical because it goes way beyond just academics. It affects student confidence, efficacy, engagement, how they see themselves as learners. Without the right support and environment, students may not reach their full potential. I think one small thing that we can do to maybe offset this, and since I have experience in both roles, I think it's essential that we build a bridge, that we find a way to connect that gap, to connect the divide between Gen Ed and special ed teachers. that we share that responsibility and that we make it more clear that this isn't additional work for you. Inclusion should not just be about where you are, but about creating an environment where you are welcomed and it is normalized and it's not something that is going to be ineffective because the students are self-conscious. Additionally, the fracture occurs with adults as well. I've seen many times special education aides will not go into certain classrooms because teachers, some traditional teachers, and this isn't all, this is fewer, I hope, than more, but they are made to feel so uncomfortable, like they're babying students and holding their hand, and they'll say some of this out loud and make the sped aides so uncomfortable they don't want to go in there and do their job. So that's another huge issue. So in closing, I just want to say that if we don't address this fracture, this division, we really risk reinforcing the very barriers that special education is meant to remove. I am a person who will go and individually spend time with teachers, and I think that is something, even if you're a bit shy, you should try to do. I wish that we had actual collaboration time together. That would also be helpful. I would love to hear anybody's experience with this, and I would love to hear how you've dealt with it. Anyway, I'm excited to get to know everybody, and I hope y'all have a great day. Okay, bye.